Welcome to the Real with Joseph Lamtman. I am Joseph Lamtman. Happy Wednesday to you guys. Hope you guys have a good week. Happy Hump Day. Excited for the show today. Got an awesome show planned for you guys today. Some great anxiety support and just tools and stuff will be on the show today. So I'm excited to get into that. Yeah, I hope you guys having a good week. Make sure you guys go check out my Rumble page. I've been over on Rumble doing some videos recently. So go follow me at Rumble. Yeah, looking forward to tonight. We got the Lakers and the Warriors. I think the Lakers will get it done tonight, and we got the Heat and the Knicks. So looking forward to continue watching the NBA playoffs. But that's not why I'm here today. I'm here today because my man Mike Antonace is going to be joining the show today. Mike has had his fair share of battles with anxiety as well, and so yeah, I reached out to Mike. Mike, everybody knows Mike and I. We talk all the time. He's one of my best friends, and not one of his. And yeah, I said, hey, Mike, what's something that you've been thinking about recently when it turns to your anxiety? What's something that maybe you struggle with the most? And he watches a lot of the anxiety guy videos as well. And so, Dennis, shout out to you. I know you're for watching. I enjoy keeping pumping out the videos. Your videos recently have been great. If you haven't seen Dennis since like the anxiety guy, his channel, go over there and check it out. He just put out a new meditation today too, so I'm looking forward to trying that out myself. Number one, best anxiety sport there is on the internet. Number one, in my opinion. Yeah, go check it out. I'll leave the link below. But I've used his programs, read his books, awesome stuff, the best stuff there is. And so, when in terms of anxiety and panic support, so go check it out. But I reached out to Mike, and Mike said, one thing he struggles with is intrusive thoughts. And anybody that has anxiety or panic knows intrusive thoughts very well. A lot of times, the intrusive thoughts are those thoughts we get, those nagging thoughts, those thoughts that tend to, send us down a spiral of panic and anxiety and worry and frustration or depression. Sometimes or getting down. Just those negative thoughts that we constantly dwell on. Right, and it all starts with a thought. The thought, energy, and connected to the thought, with that energy is a feeling, and then with comes the feelings comes the anxiety symptoms and the panic, or we sometimes it can lead to panic. We start over worrying, and it's just a continuing cycle. And sometimes it will stop once we have to. Like for me, like after I would have an anxiety attack or panic attack, the thoughts would go away for temporarily, and then all of a sudden they would start to come back again later on. It was the same cycle, and a lot of times those thoughts are, connected to things, certain environments, certain situations, certain times of the day, certain people you could see could trigger it, certain just anything related to the past trauma or something, that a root cause of something that you're fearful of. Remember, all this is connected to the lower self, and I like how Dennis labels that now. We used to refer to as the inner child, but I like the lower self. I like that as well. The lower self. The lower self is the one that keeps putting out those intrusive thoughts, constantly asking, "Is this okay? Is this okay?" Looking for reassurance in every single situation, right? And that's what a lot of those intrusive thoughts are. And I've had for years. I was constantly battling with the intrusive thoughts nonstop, all day, every day. And a lot of times when you logically try to think you can't logically try to help yourself heal your anxiety. You have to show it by action and by showing it safety. That's really what it is. It's that a part of you is just it's looking out for you. It's not trying to harm you. It's not trying to get you down, but it's asking for guidance. It thinks, okay, last time we were in a situation or we saw this person or whatever, we panicked. It was a bad result. Right? It scared us. And so that's what these intrusive thoughts really are. And we're going to get into a lot of it today. We got a video we're going to play that Mike picked out, one of Mike's favorite videos from the anxiety guy. I'm going to let Mike kind of just do his thing today. So without further ado, let's get my man Mike Antonace up here and yeah, enjoy the show. Mike, what's going
Hello,
on today,
people.
brother?
Oh, not much. Trying to enjoy the beautiful day that we have.
Yeah,
How are you doing today, Joseph?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Just chilling, enjoying life. So, enjoying the
Oh, yeah.
weather as well. So, but yeah, man, I appreciate you coming on today. I know it's kind of letting you kind of lead the show today in a way. tell us about why you picked intrusive thoughts or as the topic for this show today.
Well, because recently I've been struggling with that most of the ever, and I think talking through it with my therapist, friends, family, all that good stuff. Anxiety, can come from a multitude of different mental health issues. It doesn't just come from. It's not just like, oh, you have anxiety. It can come from OCD. It can come from ADHD. It can come from everything. Plethora. It's almost like a sliding scale. And people that struggle with OCD anxiety have intrusive thoughts, intrusive compulsions, intrusive obsessions. And I find that that's something I very much struggle with. Is I'll have intrusive thoughts, mostly negative, that I just hang on, and like you said, causes us to spiral, and you obsess over that negativity, and it just gets worse and worse. It's really a snowball effect. So I thought that this was very pertinent to what I'm going through, others might go through, because if you ever everybody's had a thought that freaks them out before. The human mind is just like that. And
an idea.
Difference is, right, exactly. And the difference is most people will just be like, oh, it was weird, and kind of like move on from it. However, there are people like who struggle with it that when that thought pops into their head for whatever reason, they hang on to it and they like let it fester, let it grow, and let it snowball until eventually, more often than not, it can cause a panic attack and can cause depersonalization, which is a stress response. People will call it like an out-of-body feeling or a disassociative feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, depersonalization, derealization.
Right. And I just think it's a great video on ways to challenge that, because it's when you're in the midst of it, it's hard for everybody to challenge it. And I just love the video because it really, just listening to someone else describe and walk through something that in the moment you think, nobody else has dealt with. But
yeah,
very
for sure. Yeah, very common. I think a lot of it too. A lot of what you said there, you referred to a lot of the different, years, ADHD and OCD and all this stuff. But I think a lot of it to me is related. You can take all those different things, right, and you can put it down to me, it's habits, things that we've learned, that we've over time have been programmed into us. I think kind of like, like ways of thinking. Like, for instance, like, right. I saw your whoever. Let's say, for example, growing up, I saw mom and dad react this way, or I saw dad react that way, or grandma, or I saw
right.
uncle whoever react that way. Somebody who you're really close with. A lot of times, your authority figures. Could be schooling as well. Hey, I saw so and so react like this when I was younger, so I thought, well, we're younger, we don't know any better. We think what we see from our authority figures, we think is the right way. And a lot of times, sometimes their habits, and here I learned this from my family with generational anxiety. A lot of the thinking patterns when I was younger and the way we would react to certain things, especially health related with health anxiety, was false. But it was all from because my grandfather was ill, and a lot of my my grandmother's family was ill. Just a lot of things you saw that would mess with you, especially back then. We're talking 40, 50 years ago, 30, 40, 50 years ago. Those things would start to mess with you because people just didn't know. A lot of people just really didn't know, especially they didn't really know. They just thought it was a normal way to react.
Right.
When you start to bear on those habits, and a lot of it got passed down. I saw it growing up. I thought it was normal and became programming. It was until I realized certain events and I realized that programming, now I'm able to unprogram that and install the correct programming.
Right. And that's therapy, all of that is for, and that the anxiety guy is fantastic. I think especially kind of to add on to your point with the mental, because mental health is still such a new, it's an old study, but it's very new with what we know, right? So the
we have a lot more access now to information.
Correct. And the labels with the disorders ADHD, OCD, depression, anxiety, et cetera, I think are good terms to explain certain things and
It's a
how certain
start.
things, yeah, may make you feel. But yeah, most of it is it can be caused by a multitude of things. How you were raised, it can be caused from trauma, you know.
For sure. And the one thing, I've told you this too many times, and Dennis says it all the time. I'm sure if he's watching, I'm sure he'll like when I say this is, you're not that label. Don't wear that as your identity. That's who you are. It's just, that's something, it's a chapter of your life. Look at it like that. It's just a chapter of your life. And you know what? It's a great thing, actually. I
Right.
didn't realize this at the time because I was 15, 16 years old. But as I got older and I started to look back at all and especially now, I'm 23, and I look back at all that I've learned in 8 years and where I am now, what I'm able to do, it was the greatest thing that ever happened to me because I was able to clean out a lot of that stuff. And I was fortunate to be at a young age, but no matter what age you are, you can do it at any age. If you can be saved at any age, you can do anything at any age. I truly believe that. And,
Right.
For me, and maybe I'll hand it back to you before we start play the video, but real quick, just, you're not that label. It's a chapter of your life, but it's gonna be the most important chapter of your life, because once you overcome panic and anxiety disorder or anything, it's like the closest thing to death you'll ever get to. And when you look at it from that standpoint, once you get through, what can stop you? And it doesn't end there either. The healing, it becomes a lifestyle. You know what I mean? It becomes who you really are. It's your true self that starts to come out. Your real dreams,
Right.
goals, and passions. No longer what people made you do, or the other programming or whatever. You know what I mean? It's a great
Yeah.
chapter in life.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. And getting through it with God, with friends, family, and just getting through it yourself is a very triumphant thing. And we're both in the midst of that. Um, and you said it's the closest thing to dying. I would even add on to that. For me, it feels like the closest thing to madness that you will experience. And it can feel like you're going crazy. It really does. And
Oh yeah.
for a lot of people suffering with anxiety, it's either, you brought up the health side, there is also the mental side where it's like, oh man, like I think I'm going crazy. Like
what helped me too is I also want to put myself out there a year ago. And actually, I got to tell you, Mike, today's a year since we did your first live stream that night when I interviewed you.
Really? Today's a year?
Today's a year. So I was like, I had to bring
Wow.
But to celebrate the 1 year. But yeah, that was my first live stream. Yeah. But it's funny. I thought about that because I remember how nervous I was before that. Not like scared, but I was nervous because it was my first live stream. You know what I mean? It's like my first one. I knew people when because I advertised it 2 days before. And obviously, I knew a lot of people would be watching it because they saw you, all the guys we know.
Right.
The car business is a giant family. That's a bulk of our audience, and a lot of my friends and family were tuning in that night. But I remember how nervous I was. But what helped me, man, was piggyback off what you just said is you think you're going madness, the madness, you're going crazy. All the people I've talked to, just within the last year alone, either people I knew already, people I never really met and I got to know, or new people on it, just whatever, how everybody struggles at some point. You're never alone.
Absolutely.
You're never alone. And everybody, a lot of people you see every day are going through the same exact stuff you're going through, or I'm going through.
Right.
And when I started to look at it from that perspective and just be open and just connect with people more, it changed everything for me because it helped me realize, hey man, I don't got to hide anything, number one, but also number two, I can actually help a lot of people because I was fortunate enough at a younger age to learn a lot of, my college was 4 or 5 years of studying. One of the video we're about to watch here, that was my college. And I studied anxiety and panic extensively, deeply for 4 or 5 years, experienced it firsthand. So now I can really help a lot of people too, and it's a great thing.
Oh, it absolutely is. And, it's comforting and an uncomforting fact in a weird way, if you know what I'm saying. Because it is, at the end of the day, the most panic disorder, whatever, that's very generalized, but panic disorder, panic attacks, whether they come from OCD, ADHD, et cetera, et cetera. But panic attacks are the most common mental health issue in the United States of America. And in a recent census, which it probably is higher now because of the pandemic, I think you had told me that.
Well, I would assume it's probably higher. I think agoraphobia is higher as well, which I predicted back then because
Right.
you could see. I hate to say it, but you could see it coming where things were heading. But
Right.
I think agoraphobia, which is agoraphobia is when you're afraid to either maybe let's say for example leave your house or could go to certain environments. You're very agoraphobic being around people. But yeah, I think that, and then not only that, I mean, a lot of people you see that go to the emergency room, or I think I read a stat: 1 in 4 people that a lot of times think there's something wrong with them. It's really just related to anxiety and panic.
Absolutely, yeah. It's the most common thing people check themselves into the emergency room for, especially first-time people that have had it, because it's a shocking thing. I remember the first time I had it. I went to an emergency room. I didn't know what was happening. But and I think this video is going to be very, very helpful for a lot of people. But yeah, you want to get into it?
Yeah, let's do it. All right, so how we're going to do this is, you like this? You want us down there, Mike, or you like the other one?
That looks good. Yeah, I like it. I like.
All right, so I'm going to play the video, and I'm going to be in the back, and I'm going to just play it through. If Mike wants to stop and comment on something Dennis says, he'll just say stop, and then I'll stop it, and then I'll let Mike comment, and I might chime in. But yeah, other than that, let's get to it. You ready, Mike?
Absolutely.
All right, let's do it.
Warriors, welcome to another important video on this channel. And if you haven't subscribed yet to the #1 anxiety support channel on YouTube, please go ahead and do that and hit the bell for all the notifications for my upcoming videos. Why is this video so important, Dennis? Well, it's really, really important because today we will be dealing with intrusive thoughts that are connected to experiencing anxiety. Okay, now I'm going to go into detail in terms of these intrusive thoughts and where they come from. And then later on in the video, I'm going to set you up with the proper mindsets and the skill sets when it comes to eliminating these intrusive thoughts from your life, therefore not falling for them. Okay. Intrusive thoughts are unwanted thoughts or mental images that pop up into your head without any kind of warning, okay? Spontaneous. And these intrusive thoughts and mental images are often repetitive. Just to give you a little example, when I was dealing with an anxiety disorder / intrusive thoughts throughout the day, I would have very similar intrusive thoughts depending on the time of the day. Does this sound like you? If it does, comment below. And this was very, very interesting to me. And let's go deep into why these things were happening. Well, these intrusive thoughts are brought on by the inner child or subconscious mind and are motivated by protection. Motivated by protection. Imagine seeing your intrusive thoughts as being motivation by the inner child to protect you against something from occurring once again. Can you imagine if we took this idea and we turned this idea into a belief, how much compassion you would have towards yourself when an intrusive thought shows up? But no, we don't do that, do we? We don't do that. We take the intrusive thought, we believe in the intrusive thought, we tell ourselves stories around the intrusive thought. It becomes a behavior, an identity. We start speaking the intrusive thought, we start becoming the intrusive thought. A rapid cycle that goes very, very fast, right? And so fast that we can't even really pay attention to how fast it's going. And it can become so habitual to the point where we say, this is normal.
So,
yeah, go ahead.
Yes, sorry.
No,
wanted to just speak on that point that he just made. So, 2 very important points that he just made, and speaking from personal experience and from what my personal psychologist told me, is it's a protective um, learned behavior from your subconscious. So that's very, very true. So with depersonalization, derealization, and that kind of rabbit hole you can fall down into, is in and of itself a stress response. It's a dulling of your nerves. And it is, in fact, a protective response from your brain, from your subconscious, because in moments of that, you don't, you might be freaking out because it's a strange feeling, and that's the anxious part, but you don't feel, certain emotions as highly. That's the big thing, is you do not feel emotions as strong. Feels like some people would describe it as an autopilot type of feeling.
Yeah,
and another
that's a he with autopilot. Yeah.
Right. And another thing too is that autopilot type of feeling is, in times of depersonalization, they've done studies where people will feel less pain in those instances when they're depersonalized. So that in and of itself can help us understand it better and understand that it's a stress response and it's a protective response from your body, and it's not something scary. And another thing that he brought up is that it's very repetitive and through time of day, and that made it all the more better for me, because it's like, okay, someone else has experienced this the same. Because around evening, when like it gets to the peak for me, or really early in the morning. But I just want to kind of add on to those points. I think that's really, really important to remember, is it is in fact a protective thing our brain does. You could go ahead and say it.
Okay. Yeah, you made some great points. I agree. And I the repetitive part helped me as well. When I first heard him say this, back in 2018 when I first heard him, and then talking to other people like you, and yeah, totally. Yeah, I love. Yeah, good commentary.
Normal, right? Intrusive thought, negative belief system, identifying with anxiety, thinking I'm going crazy, right? Fear of death, fear of poverty, whatever it means. These can be so habitual and automatic. They can be the normal for somebody after some time, so normal that they forget what it feels like to be healed. They forget what it feels like to be intuitive, creative, and divine. But today we're tackling this, aren't we? One example of an intrusive thought followed by a mental image is new mothers who go through intrusive thoughts of harming their own children. Here's a telltale example, okay, of an intrusive idea, an intrusive thought, something spontaneous. And the mother, with all that pent-up emotion, all that excitement and fear wrapped up into a ball, experiences the intrusive thought. And of course, the more highly emotional we are when a spontaneous intrusive thought arises, the more possibility there is that we will believe in this intrusive thought. The emotions play a very big part in terms of whether we believe in something or we don't. We believe in something else. So this is an example. Okay, young mothers, new mothers experiencing this idea of harming their own children. Subconsciously driven by our own inner childs to protect us from something. When we open up to this interpretation, what starts to happen is we start to open ourselves up to possibility. When we open ourselves up to possibility, we no longer fall for an intrusive thought. This is very, very important going forward. Now, warriors, let's start with the right mindset. I want you to have the right mindset going forward if you are, in fact, experiencing intrusive thoughts on a daily basis coupled with your anxiety. Number one idea based around the proper mindset is the more significant we see the intrusive thought as, the more power it has over us. Significance. Significance plays a tremendous role in whether you give focus, power, and energy towards the intrusive thought or not. So, how significant are these intrusive thoughts to you? You must think about this. You must give yourself the ability of awareness to go, you know what, I'm placing a tremendous amount of significance on these intrusive thoughts, right? And they are taking me down a direction that I truly don't want to go. Number 2 mindset comes down to not taking them personally anymore. Give you an example. When I was suffering from an anxiety disorder in my darkest days, I would have these intrusive thoughts and I would say, I am. I am. You know, what comes after I am consistently truly becomes the identity, becomes our future. So we have to make sure that we place tremendous emphasis on what our I ams are, right? So we must not take it personally when the intrusive thought shows up. Are you doing this right now? Or are you creating separation? Separation between intrusive thought being over here and your true identity being over here. Not here. They are not one. They are separate. One is spontaneous. One is consciousness. One is awareness. One is divine, one is creative, and one is open-minded and open-hearted. The other one isn't. The third idea when it comes to the mindset towards overcoming these intrusive thoughts is eliminate all negative labels towards yourself in relation to these intrusive thoughts. Now, again, we're talking about the labels. We're talking about the judgments over yourself. I'll never be able to do X because I have this intrusive thought or this idea. Does that sound like you? I'll never achieve X. I'll never be able to provide for my family the way I want to because of X. So again, you're being led by the intrusive thought that's really creating a cloudiness, a block, a wall in your thinking, right? So again, once we separate between intrusive thought and who you truly are, that's when we gain power back. Let's focus on skill sets because you need to go through the day implementing these.
Thank you. I wanted to let her finish that point because each of those is so important to not only, you know, getting over that part of anxiety, but for me, that can at times get me out of a panic attack if I'm on edge. Is reminding myself, like, so that's the kind of the acceptance, the distance, and then what you have to do for treatment. So obviously, you have to realize how much significant thoughts are controlling your life because, I mean, the human brain, very powerful organ, and your thoughts can become your reality. You know, that's what anxiety disorder is. You know, us ourselves are doing that to mimic, you know, physical symptoms because of fight or flight response. And intrusive thoughts can play a really big role in that. So identifying that they are, in fact, you're giving too much significance. And then the next part he talks about is easy in concept, can be hard in practice, but it's so important to learn how to do it. It's separating yourself from those intrusive thoughts, distancing yourself from it, not giving it too much credence, not giving a thought too much thought. And
no more adding energy to it. Exactly.
Just leave it where it lies. And again, you know, for people who are struggling with it like me, and I'm guilty of this as well, it can be hard at times when you're in the moment to do that. And another thing, though, and I think the third thing he said as far as mindset is so important, is the I am. Because in the moment, you know, I catch myself doing it all the time. I'll be like, I am going crazy. You know, I am, you know, going loopy, you know, I am losing control, what have you. And, or, you know, for people who suffer with more health anxiety. It could be like, I am dying. You know, I'm having a heart attack. You know, I am having a stroke.
Yeah, and it can go into other things too in your life. Like you can say, I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy, or I'm not beautiful, or
Right, exactly. And being kind to yourself, and it's very much forgotten in this world nowadays. Just kindness in general is hard to come by, but being kind to others, very, very important. But also, people tend to forget to be kind to themselves. And I tend to call it the Robin Williams syndrome. You know, the outgoing, caring person that inside is tormented, and they forget to be kind to themselves, to remind themselves, you know, I am enough. I'm not crazy. I'm, you know, just positive self.
That's a great point. If you don't mind me adding real quick,
absolutely,
because I think that's a great point you do, because and a very important one, kind of like what I was just saying. Because a lot of times, you know, you could be in a situation. Let's say you were in a past situation where, you know, maybe somebody made you feel a certain way, or, you know, didn't provide something for you, or you were in a situation that go the way you thought, which I was, you know, I've been in, Mike's been in. Right, we can all relate to these things, and we can start to take that label, how someone else made us feel, or how the situation made us feel, and start to, like you said, identify with it. Oh, I really am not worthy. I really am this and that. I really am that. I'll never have X, Y, and Z. You know, it'll never be what I thought it would. And a lot of times we settle and we stay in the same cycle because it's what's comfortable. We get comfortable with the negative feelings and the fears, and when we get comfortable with it, we start to allow it to control us in everything we do, in our habits, our daily life, our thought patterns. You know, we'll only go so far. We'll limit ourselves in everything, whether it's interactions or whatever. Right. And I think two things I would add, two tools that help me, is when intrusive thought comes on, he said, in the first point he made about the significance of it, ask yourself, it's called the 10-second window. The first 10 seconds of that thought, immediately challenge it, question it. So let's say, like one I used to get, let's say health anxiety. Oh, I got a tension in my neck or whatever. What if it's X, Y, and Z happening? And I'll immediately stop it. I'm like, hold on, let me challenge this. What's my evidence for that thought? Do I have enough evidence compiled towards this idea here? That's all it is, an idea. No, I don't. I don't. And a lot of times too, I can go back and say, you know, that wasn't my opinion. That was X, Y, and Z's opinion I heard one time. I don't relate to them. Don't mean I don't love them, but, you know, it's not my opinion. And so then that would go into the second tool, which is, you know, when you say identifying with them, or I would say, tell yourself out loud, you just say it out loud in your mind, I cancel the fear of whatever X is. You know, you tell yourself, I cancel that fear. And I'm going to show you I'm going to cancel it by doing the opposite of it. A lot of times doing the opposite, you know, it's like a lot of times things we hesitate in life, which I've been through, especially even recently, which is sometimes you just got to allow yourself to just go for things, or just allow yourself to, you know, just go for things, you know, do the opposite. No more trying to play everything so safe. You know, you never know until you go to the other side.
You made a great point. Give yourself a chance especially when it comes to going out and doing things.
Yeah.
And this goes, you know, because I struggle with this a lot. Whatever
I can agree with myself as well.
Right. Whatever you're worried about, give yourself a chance to prove yourself wrong, or give those people that, like, you might be worried about going to a gathering. You might be worrying, oh, what will they think, this, that, and the other. Well, give them a chance to prove you wrong, or prove you right. What's the worst that happens? You were right, and you're back to square one. And I think that's so important to do, is because, again, and I understand for a lot of, you know, panic sufferers, that is, you know, an easy idea, tough in practice again. But it's so important for recovery. And I think Joseph would agree, like, just, you know, being kind to yourself, giving yourself a chance, you know, prove yourself wrong.
Man, Now, you know some things I've done recently, Mike. 'Cause privately, you and I've talked because you taught me a lot of things, obviously. But you could sit around and really look at all the negatives in the situation, and you can almost start to make an assumption about something before you even give it a shot. Or maybe things aren't going the way you'd like. You can start to assume, right? Someone reminded me of something recently, back within the last year. Somebody with a lot of wisdom, and it was, said, hey, Joseph, don't assume. No, don't assume. A lot of times when we're too quick to assume something, we miss out on what the truth really is. And we conclude things where they need to be concluded, or we jump to conclusions that don't need to be, that aren't reality. You know what I mean? They're not truth. And so, you gotta go for things, man, and don't, if don't worry about how people react to things or what. You don't know what somebody's going through. You know what I mean? Just because things, you don't know how somebody's going through, and don't be so quick to judge or assume, or just let it be and just let it go, and don't take things personal, because it ain't personal, and you just keep moving forward, and eventually things usually actually turn in your favor, especially when you got God on your side. All things work together for good. So, that's why I'd end there. You got anything else, Mike, before we get back to it?
No, I think that was a great, great commentary. I can't add on that. Go on.
You did a fantastic job too, Mike. All right, let's get back to it.
These skill sets, my friends. And when it comes to skill sets, I want you to understand something, okay? Happiness is a skill set more than it is an emotion. Inner peace is a skill set more than it is a feeling or emotion. Joy, gratitude, feeling blessed, these are skill sets more than anything else. So when you start to see these feeling states and these emotional states as being skill sets, you can start to go, I really don't have much practice when it comes to these skill sets, do I? And because I don't have much practice around them, I have to stop putting so much pressure on myself for not feeling the way I want to feel. So let's move away from these intrusive thoughts by practicing the kind of skill sets that will move you towards the feeling states that you want to experience on a daily basis. At every opportunity as you go through the day, as you experience an intrusive thought, I want you to change the tone. Change the tone of that voice that you're hearing in your head, because it's not your voice. It can be any voice you want. All you have to do for a very short period of time is just close your eyes. And as you close your eyes, you're imagining a funny cartoon character standing right across you. And as you imagine that funny cartoon character, you're beginning to listen to the intrusive thought through the voice tone of that character. Okay, so Mickey Mouse is going, you'll never overcome anxiety, whatever it is, right? And it can be any thought whatsoever. And you continue playing out this new tone, right? Mickey Mouse, Daffy Duck, Goofy, it doesn't matter. You know what? It can even be someone from your past that made you feel a tremendous amount of safety in your life, right? Think to yourself, who made you feel so safe in your life? As you imagine that, you're going, oh, that person's telling me this intrusive thought, and it's starting to feel lighter. It's starting to feel less intense. I'm no longer identifying with the thought. I'm creating separation between who I am and the thought that I'm having. When you have this, you are starting to gain power. So change the tone at every opportunity you can, and continue to listen to that same intrusive thought through that new tone of voice until you create boredom and disinterest. When you create boredom and disinterest over that intrusive thought, move forward with a brand new behavior, a behavior that says, That intrusive thought has nothing to do with my present and my future. Therefore, I choose to do X instead. Huge skill set. Change the tone. Secondly, I want you to master the art of cloud forming. Okay, cloud forming. And some people can do this with their eyes open, but of course, when you're doing imagery work, when you close your eyes, you tend to focus a little bit better. So as you close your eyes, you're imagining that there's a cloud coming into your awareness, and that cloud has the color of the intrusive thought, many times black or red. And on that cloud, you can literally see the sentence. You can see the intrusive thought arising. So as I see that cloud, I'm going, hey, oh, okay, all right. And off you go over the horizon, right? Bye-bye, waving. Okay. Oh, you're there again? Okay, fine. I'll give you a few moments of my attention. So you see the cloud forming, and you see the color, and you see the sentence, and there it goes. There it goes, and there it goes as the wind takes it away. And it's gone as we wave. You know, with number one skill set and skill set number two, it's very important that you don't do the skill set and then check to see if something worked. Okay, you're going, do I feel better? Did it work? You know, it didn't work. It did work. You know, again, you're going back to this desire for certainty. Again, you're going back to the addiction to suffering. Okay, you have to leave the world of the addiction to suffering, and you have to build trust. Because as you build more trust in yourself, your body's ability to heal itself, your mind, the world, nature, God, as you build trust in life and all the ever changes that go on with life, you start to flow with life. There's no longer an addiction to suffering. There's an addiction to inner peace. Okay, so again, with change the tone and cloud forming, okay, these skill sets that I really want you to build towards eliminating these intrusive thoughts, or at the very least, not giving them the power that they truly want from you and the focus, okay? Very important that you follow up with some kind of behavior, a behavior that makes you feel empowered, a behavior that says, I am beginning to trust in life and the journey that I'm on. I love the chapter that I'm in, and I'm ready for the next chapter. So again, behave the way you want to feel and who you want to be after changing the tone and cloud forming. Third and final skill set is breathe the thought out of you. Okay, so as you exhale, your breath is very, very powerful, right? Your breath can literally determine what you focus on in the outside world and how much attention you give to any kind of idea, whether conscious or spontaneous. Okay, so as you breathe out, you are literally breathing out that old intrusive thought. Okay, and as you breathe it out, you can breathe out with force. Okay, and you're gonna feel a certain amount of lightness arising within you. So again, regular inhale, and even after taking 1 to 3 breaths, you're gonna find that as you exhale, you're starting to feel a disconnection from that idea, and that's what we're looking for, okay? So now what we have to do is we have to create an understanding around the intrusive thought being connected to the inner child looking to protect. So we have the understanding. Then the mindset. We have to make sure that we have the proper mindset going forward, and we have to make sure that we build at least 1 out of the 3 skill sets. I'll put it in the description. 1 out of the 3 skill sets to eliminate these intrusive thoughts and move forward in your life. I'm going to leave you with this. Intrusive thoughts only become problematic when we identify with them The moment we start to go, I have intrusive thoughts, but I am not my intrusive thoughts, we gain power back, right? If I start to go, I have them and I am these thoughts, these ideas begin to control us. So we can either say, I have them, but I am not them, right? Or I have them and I am them. Huge difference in terms of your emotional state. Because when you identify with intrusive thoughts, what tends to happen is you stay in fight or flight. And if you stay in fight or flight, your body tenses up, okay? And you are in a state where you're constantly monitoring for the next potential threat in your life. I don't want you to live this way. No, 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 no. It's not fair to you, and it's not fair to the people that are entrusting you. Warriors, remember that you are more than anxiety. I want you, please, to give this video a like if it spoke to you. Secondly, I want you to comment below because this is a community. I will do my best to comment back. Let's interact with each other and let's help each other move beyond anxiety towards our true divine identity, because that is where we are all going, no matter where you are, no matter what stage you're in the healing journey. I love you from the bottom of my heart. See you soon.
Great video. And I didn't want to end. I didn't want to pause it while he was finishing points, but he brings up two things that are really, really useful. He basically describes visualization techniques, which is the clouding method, and then speaking through a funny cartoon voice. Now, it doesn't, those are great starter ideas for it, because visualization has been studied to help. And
mental imagery is very big component.
Very, very big. And for me, what I started doing it without realizing what it was. It started to help. What I do is I think I'm sitting next to like a rushing river, and I have like a manila folder with the thought or the anxiety that's bothering me. And I'll open up the folder, I'll grab one of that thought, the piece of paper with that thought on it, I'll crumple it up and I throw it into the river and watch it rush away. And that goes back to kind of what you were saying with canceling it. Like you can mentally cancel it and you can visually cancel it. And another thing that he brings up, which is so important, is again a distance technique, saying stay away from the I ams, because the brain is powerful. When you say I am, you know what you're saying to yourself. You can say I have, you can have something, and not be it, which is super, super important. So I love the video. I think it's given me a lot of help, and also just the clarity to how to deal with it, because I think no matter what form of anxiety you may have, from what, plethora of causes, but I think we all struggle with intrusive thoughts, and I think that's what can send us a lot of us into panic attacks. And he gives a lot of tools to kind of combat that, and a lot of which I use myself day in and day out.
Totally, and a couple of things I want to comment on is, mental imagery is everything. I think not only that, and mental imagery or color breathing, which I use, breathing your safety color, breathe out the color of fear. Repetition is key. You got to have repetition as you're going throughout your day, multiple times a day, and keep doing it over and over and over again. Because the more you do it, the more automatic that becomes, to where you don't give much energy to it anymore. Eventually, like you said, which is a key point, the boredom and disinterest will start to arise, and when that happens, it's game over. Once you're bored and disinterested with that thought, what power does it have over you? Because you diminished it. You've proven to yourself safety. I don't need to give energy to that thought. I don't need to act upon that thought. I don't need to rush into action or call for my safety friend or help, or I I'm okay. And it's a 3 words, just I am okay. And I think the last thing too is, this is something I had to be reminded of by my counselor I was working with, which is, he's telling me all the time, like, Joe, have grace upon yourself. Like, like, just give yourself grace and relax. Take pressure off yourself, is what he's saying. Don't beat yourself up so much. And a lot of what he said there, the first point he made was, tell yourself, hey, I'm just unpracticed at this. If it's not working right away, doesn't mean it's not going to work. It's going to work. You're just unpracticed at it. Don't put pressure on yourself continuously because it's not happening as fast as you want it. And a lot of that's due to our society we live in. We don't get things right now. Things don't happen when we want them. That microwave. If you have that microwave mindset, you're never going to be satisfied. You're never going to be able to heal. You got to look at this as a crock pot type mindset. What I like to use, crock pot mindset. Slow cook it, repetition. No pressure. Take the pressure off yourself. Have grace upon yourself. And just like my guy had to remind me constantly of, because it's what I needed. And also just, you're unpracticed at it. But through time, repetition, and commitment, and belief in the process, you're going to get there. One step, one day at a time. You're never behind. You're never, like for me, a lot of years when I was away, especially when I was in high school, in my early college years, I thought I was like behind. Like, oh my God. Because my path was different, maybe than other people. But I was never behind. And actually, I was gaining in the process. Looking back now, I see, because I'm older, but I gained in the process. I didn't lose out on anything. Everything was right where it needed to be. It was precisely where it needed to be. God had me right where he needed me to be. And he's preparing me for what's to come. And he still is preparing me now in my life for what's to come. It has been. But you're always gaining. You always take the wins and lessons in everything you do. And don't put pressure on yourself. That's very key to me is, don't put pressure on yourself. Don't beat yourself up. Things are a lot more simple than we make them out to be, especially in what we see in society nowadays. You know what I mean? So we're surrounded by so much stuff, advertisements and things that can add to these intrusive thoughts. We're surrounded by it. So it's very key too to what you put energy into, what you focus on, and people you surround yourself with constantly. Not saying avoid people, or treat people differently, or love everybody, but be careful. Just be aware. Be careful. Just be aware of what you put your energy to. You know what I mean? Positive conversation. Have more positive conversations than negative ones with people. You know what I mean? Just little things like that, because it all adds up.
Exactly. I couldn't have said it better.
So, but yeah, that was my little rant there on the way out. But no, I mean, great job today, Mike. Very proud of you. It takes a lot of courage to come up here and share a lot of these things, and even privately, it takes a lot of courage. But so I really appreciate you, man, for doing it. Love you, brother. And you got anything else you want to add to this topic before we get out of here? Or?
No, not really. I mean, I love you too, man. I thank you for having me on as always. And, yeah, I mean, hopefully, anybody listening, if you're ever struggling, just remember, like, me and Joseph both know at times it can feel hopeless and it can feel exhausting to deal with this. Just every negative emotion you can think. But at the end of the day, it isn't you. It is temporary, and you will get through it.
Yeah, like I said, it's just a chapter in your life, and just look at it as like a detour. And it's a detour. A lot of detours, especially when God designs detours, they're great for you, and He's preparing you for what's to come. And He's going to bring people in your life that are what you need, and you for them. He's put everything's right where it needs to be, like I said. And just relax, and don't take pressure. And find good people to surround yourself with. Talk to good people. Have people you can call on. Talk positivity. Talk progress. And it's great. And especially people our age, because you and I talk about this all the time, man. People our age, we don't know how to communicate anymore.
Right.
We don't know how to communicate. Mike been in car sales. He's seen everything. I've seen it just through this, and just being out in the public. But we don't know how to communicate anymore, Mike. And I think it's a big problem, because a lot of your lens, how you see things, that lens you look through is very important to me. It's very key, I think, because
absolutely
it can be one of the main reasons why maybe you're holding yourself back.
Right. And a big thing to add on to that is just, big anxiety sufferers, panic sufferers, they, my buddy Justin, God bless him, he brought it up as, because I've been at my worst past couple months, and he goes, Mike, people know what you're going through, and at times it goes back to not communicating. Like, everything in our bodies as panic sufferers is telling us to isolate, to go inward, and to completely shut yourself out. However, yes, you have to do work on the inward to fix your mindset and to fix your emotional health and your mental health. However, sometimes, your body's telling you to do something and your mind's telling you to do something in that panic mode, isolating, not opening up to people about your struggles. And how Justin puts it is, he goes, you need to go take your medicine, which is essentially, opening up to people, talking to people about it, going out there, not isolating yourself. And it's very hard as panic sufferers in the moment. Everything you want to do for yourself is actually hurting yourself more. Yeah. Just something I always found interesting, and I struggle with that. I tend to isolate myself when I'm going through it, and I tend to shut down and, don't want to burden my issues on someone else, when in fact there are people out there that love you, that want to hear about your issues, that want to be there with you and support you, that want to legitimately, in Justin's case, drag you out of the house and take you to a brewery.
Yeah. And not only that, man, like, sometimes the best relationships you ever have and people that care about you the most and is when you need it. It's at those times, you know what I mean? Like, definitely. You and I, our relationship came at times when I was down low and you were down low, but it's kind of like it's like what I was saying about the lens. A lot of people think everything has to be perfect for you to do it. I got to be completely healed. I got to be completely X, Y, and Z before I do something. A lot of times, actually, what you need the most is somebody or someone. Or,
right.
We all need somebody to. Actually, that person might be what you need. They need you. It always goes both ways, and it could be in anything. It could be a relationship with maybe your wife, a girlfriend. It could be a friend, a family member. Relationships, relationships are very, very important. You got to be able to have people around you, but also don't. A lot of it too is we get in our own way. And it's funny, like you said, it tend to isolate, and I used to do the same thing because I would start to make people's judgments about me before I gave them a chance.
Right.
And I would be afraid to tell them certain things. I was afraid how they were going to react. But man, I'm just keeping 100. If somebody's really worth the damn, they really give it. If they really care about you, and that's not going to matter. Somebody who really cares about you accepts you for who you are, where you are. They don't want to change you. They just want to help you better you, help you grow, and they want what you have too. You know what I mean? We all have spiritual gifts within. We all have gifts within us. We all have our own uniqueness, and we got to realize that we have our own uniqueness. And then share it with people. You know what I mean? Don't be afraid. And it doesn't mean you have to be, crazy right away and do all these extravagant things. Just start out by just talking to people, and just open up to someone, or just be more, communication. You have to. Communication's so key. Like, again, we just don't know how to communicate nowadays. Everything we do is our age is either texting, which has no emotion in it. And just keep texting, stay in a safe zone. Don't judge me. Don't it's just like we get in our own way, and
right.
A lot of times you miss out on the best when you're holding yourself back. You're delaying the process.
Yeah, exactly. Couldn't have said it better myself.
But all right, Mike. Well, again, I'm proud of you, man. Love you, brother. And you guys want to find Mike? He's on. Mike, plug. What are you on, Mike? Go ahead and plug yourself.
I'm on Rumble. I'm technically on YouTube, and we'll start posting there shortly. Going to be covering a wide range of topics, from book reviews to sports talk, which I know, interesting mixture. So yeah, tune in if you'd like to hear.
You're on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook too, right? So
I am on Twitter. Yes. At Mike Antonace. on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow me there, Michael Antonace. I'm never on there. But
you're not on your Instagram ever.
no, yeah, I only have so much attention span for so many social media networks.
No, that's,
So
that's actually a good thing. I feel I only use very little too, like Facebook, Instagram. That's about it. So, and no, I'm on Rumble, but that's more like YouTube. But
yeah, Twitter is my Instagram to you. I'm on Twitter a lot, especially for sports talk. Post a bunch of Twitter spaces, shoot the shit about sports. Me and a couple of other people from the Cleveland sports community. Always come on up. Shout out to Q and Chops, all those guys. They host great spaces.
yeah, I enjoy watching them too. They're great, good guys, and Cleveland sports got a great media market. Very underrated. I think one of the best in the country. But yeah,
Cold
man,
Chops.
appreciate it, and look forward. Keep an eye on Mike and I. Will be on Rumble here later this week. That we got the Brown schedule release coming up. Actually, we don't right real quick before we get out of here. I got the Lakers and the Heat tonight, both closing out the series. Who do you got?
I agree, and the Cavaliers should be absolutely embarrassed with how the Heat are playing.
Yeah, that's a whole other topic. Well, we'll save that for another Rumble. But
Yeah, sounds good.
yeah. But all right, Mike, I appreciate it, brother, and I'll see you in the next one.
See you in the next one. Thank you, Dolly.
Yeah. I want to thank Mike for coming on. Great job by Mike. Really enjoyed all the commentary he gave today. Appreciate it for coming on, being open, raw, and not afraid to share it. It's not an easy thing to do, and I get it. It took me a long time to get on here and do this, to share what I've been through and the stuff that I experienced and stuff and stories and all that. It's not easy, even privately. And so, but just start by expressing, guys, and let things go, and just take it one step at a time. Like I said, have patience and grace upon yourself, and take the pressure off yourself. You're not alone. Everybody, I've been there. Dennis has been there. Mike's going through it. We've all been there. I still experience things, and so, and have things I'm trying to accomplish and grow out of still. And so, you're not the only one. And so, don't be afraid to reach out to me, Mike, or Dennis. All three of us love to help you in any way we can, and there's always help out there. And so, thank you guys. Make sure you go like, subscribe, and share to my man Dennis, the anxiety guy. I'll link that video below if you want to watch that video again. Make sure you go follow me on my Rumble page. Stay tuned for that, for the videos I got coming up over on Rumble. And yeah, like always, like, subscribe, share, and all that good stuff. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm out of here. Gone.